where you are right now is not where you'll always be. It is never too late to reinvent yourself. You are not going to be for everybody. I feel like the sooner you accept that, the better life gets for you. The majority of women, they feel like they have to get validation from outside sources when the validation comes from within. The validation comes from God. Like, God already stamped you. He already told you who you are. You don't need to look for validation anywhere else. Hey, what's up, boss babes? Welcome to another episode of Fruitful Conversations. Today we are going to be talking about how to become an it girl and how to cultivate a magnetic presence, okay? So let's just jump right into the video. First, I have to get up. Girl, get up, okay? So that is the name of this segment. You want to try to cultivate some kind of productive morning routine, right? Not if you're somebody like me and you find working out to be like a task, because I know a lot of the girlies do like a morning routine as far as working out. Think you don't have to, but find a way to get up, get your body moving, and try to cultivate like some positive, high frequency energy for your day so that you can hold it throughout the day. I know we love waking up and drinking our coffee, but with coffee, I find personally there comes a crash with that. So I would much rather have that natural energy that I know is going to make me productive and it's going to last a lot longer. I personally wake up in the morning and I do like a 6 to 6:30 a.m. jog. I really got to get back consistent with doing that, but I find that it does help me be more productive throughout the day, right? While I'm doing this 6 a.m. jog, I also like to speak positively to myself. I like to speak life into myself. I'll watch Prophet Lovey or something spiritual or inspiring. After that, I'll do a dive in the grass with my bare feet, right? And I'll say positive affirmations to kind of set my mindset up to be productive throughout the day as well. And just to cultivate some gratitude and a positive energy so that I'm not waking up with that doom and gloom. Sometimes when we are not exactly where we want to be, it makes us lose the motivation for where we're trying to be because we're so stuck in the headspace of where we are. Instead of speaking those affirmations, even, making a gratitude list daily. I feel like if we are waking up with gratefulness for where we are and mindfulness of where we want to go, we'll be 100% more productive. So girl, get up, get yourself up, get moving, start believing you are exactly who you say you are. That's why it's so important to do that inner work, that inner growth, that inner healing, that shadow work, so that you are able to fully come into who you're supposed to be. So another way for you to start to have a magnetic presence and become that it girl would be loving on yourself, right? So in order to love on yourself, you have to have a delusional, undying, almost annoying, irritating belief in yourself. I talked about this a lot in one of my previous videos. If you did not see that, make sure you go check that out. It's all about developing main character energy. I believe too many times, and through our past traumas, whether it be our environments, whatever, mass media, we are taught to love ourselves just enough not to offend anybody else or make anybody else uncomfortable, but that holds us back from who we are truly destined to be. I am a star. You can't tell me any differently, and it helps me be able to walk in that woman I'm trying to become as opposed to waiting for something to happen in order for me to become that person. Early on, I do believe through trials and tribulations, my upbringing, my environments, my peers, I literally, like, my self-esteem was shot. And then us women especially, we get into these relationships where we are constantly looking for validation from our partners. And when, they're using passive aggressiveness and lack of, self-esteem inside themselves to kind of belittle us, we kind of carry that trauma on throughout our lives. So each partner that displays these same characteristics, we are finding ourselves basically fighting for our lives to become one with ourselves again and just learn how to absolutely love ourselves without a care in the world, without validation, from anybody. And I feel like that was the hardest thing to do in my journey. That was the only thing that truly held me back from building a genuine tribe and showing up 100% authentically as myself. So I would definitely recommend intentionally starting to love yourself out loud without validation from anybody, right? Because you are not going to be for everybody. I feel like the sooner you accept that, the better life gets for you, because who cares what anybody else thinks? I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm absolutely 100% okay with that. I have not always been, but I've learned to be okay with that, because I know that with that comes such a peace that just can't be, faked or duplicated. You're definitely going to need that self-esteem boost, no matter what you're trying to do in life. I was going to say in the business of entrepreneurship, but even if you're career based, to show up and thrive in your day job, you're still going to need to love on yourself and have enough confidence to show up and know that you are that girl. Okay. The other important part of that is getting away from people who do not reinforce that belief in yourself. Like, listen, it is 2024. We are no longer allowing people that live in a scarcity mindset and limiting beliefs to come and mess with our water. Like, we're not letting them into our circles. We are not allowing them in our vicinities, because the people you surround yourself with, you become that fifth person. So if you hang around only people that live their life through other people, validation from others, limiting beliefs, validation from the internet even, you are not going to be able to truly thrive and find your real soul tribe, your real authentic tribe of people that are actually going to be there for you and that you're actually going to be able to impact. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people like to refer to themselves as influencers. I would rather be impactful than to be an influencer, because I want to impact you. I want you to see me and see my light and want that for yourself. So it's a win-win situation. You understand what I mean? Because now you're going to be willing and understanding that where you are right now is not where you'll always be. You still have time to grow. You still have time to bloom and blossom. It is never too late to reinvent yourself, right? So with that literally starts with loving yourself, saying no, creating boundaries. It is truly peaceful to love yourself and not look for validation in other people. And speaking of social media, stop allowing social media to speed up your process. Like, yes, social media has taught me a lot. Social media has helped me along my journey, as far as me seeing people that are relatable and saying, wow, if she can do this, I can do this too. Or, you know what I'm saying? But don't allow social media to be the end all be all in determining your worth, your value, and your speed of things, because everybody's story is different. Everybody's journey is different. God has a different assignment for each and every one of us. So watching somebody else's assignment be fulfilled, or their blessings carrying through, is not going to help you feel more confident about where you are in your season and why you're in that season. You should really just be doubling down on understanding yourself, cultivating an environment within yourself where you are actually doing that deep inner work, changing things that you feel as though need to be changed, and just showing up authentically as yourself. You cannot show up as yourself if you're trying to portray an image that you've seen on social media, or you're trying to be like this person or that person. Like, that is so much hard work, and that is where you're going to find yourself burnt out, depressed, tired, and just so sick of pretending that you have no choice but to love on yourself and to just be happy where you are anyway. So why not just start out with that mindset and teach other women, that mindset is okay. You do not only recreate and rebrand yourself based on your different levels of evolution. Do never base it on what you see on social media. Not only that, you're looking at somebody, most times we look at somebody's year 10 or year 11 or year 12 or even year 5, and we're just starting out, and we allow that to have that bad, scarcity mindset and limiting beliefs in the back of our mind, stopping our pace when we can't worry about anybody else's story. You have to literally just be okay with being where you are. Understand that nothing is by happenstance, nothing is by accident. God has it already written out, and this is simply part of your journey. And most times I found that when things like that happen to me, when I'm feeling like, something is not being fulfilled for me, or I really want something bad and I feel like God is like taking his time to deliver, because he always comes through. He's always there on time, right? Exactly. Right when you need him. So it's not about, rushing your process. It's more so about being able to be in the mindset where, okay, I understand the different seasons of my life now. I understand that God always comes through for me. So there may be something that I need to learn in this season. So I can't dwell on what's going on social media and try to allow that to speed up my process, because I'm only doing myself a disservice from where my mindset needs to be. And you need to be at 100% functionality when you are chasing your dreams and you are trying to become that it girl, right? Okay. Also very important to take digital detoxes. Like sometimes I'll solely get on social media to post my content, stay consistent on whatever content schedule I've planned for that month. But other than that, I'm getting on, I'm logging off. I'm not allowing myself to be consumed by scrolling and comparing and just going down that rabbit hole of, making myself feel bad for absolutely no reason at all. So I think digital detoxes are very important and very necessary, especially if you're somebody that wants to be a content creator or wants to be an influencer and you kind of live on a social media space. You have to find that happy balance where you're kind of like separating yourself from it sometimes, so that you can like bring yourself back down to reality and start to really just, have those talks with yourself where you're like, okay, you're over consuming now. You're doing that comparison trap thing again. It's time to go do, some more inner work, right? Another thing about social media is you want to curate your feed, right? When I say curate your feed, I found myself having to unfollow people who are always negative, people who are always talking about, things that are like putting other people down or comparing other people, like all of those like blog pages. Me personally, I don't follow any of them, like the Shade Room and all of those kind of places that are solely based on like bringing out people's flaws and bringing them to the forefront and like laughing at them or making, mocking them or making a public mockery of them. I just really don't know how that is supposed to help or like build your self-confidence. So I had to get those pages and those type of people with that kind of energy off of my news feed. I only want to see things that are going to push me forward in a positive manner and actually align with, the better version of myself that I'm ultimately trying to be. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to engage in negativity and indulge in things that, are not good for me and then wonder why I'm not growing, I'm not elevating, and I'm feeling stagnated. So that is also very important on your journey to becoming an it girl and really trying to cultivate that magnetic presence. Number 4 thing that's going to be very important in establishing your new identity as an it girl, making investments in yourself. Yes, yes, yes. I know a lot of us are so like worried about bills, our kids' needs, and just our businesses, even that we don't even have time to what we think, or we've made ourselves believe, or history and trauma have made us believe that we don't have the resources or time to pour into ourselves. But the thing about it is investments don't only come in the form of financial. You can invest in yourself simply by doing self-care, simply by taking that walk you've been wanting to take by yourself and, journaling. You can, go eat that snack that you've been wanting to eat, but you've been, so disciplined that you don't feel like you deserve it. There are other ways to make investments in yourself. And the number one way I like to make investments in myself, besides hair, nails, and all of like the girly self-care things that make me more confident when, showing up for myself, is learning. I love learning about different skill sets and different things that can help me build wealth for me and my kids. But not only that, I love learning about other high level entrepreneurs or other people I may, admire. I don't like to say idolize because I don't idolize anybody. I just love God, right? So those other people that I see and, I say I want to be like, or I find those similarities with, I learn from them. I learn what they've been through. I learn about the different seasons, in their lives that push them forward, the different challenges that they've had to overcome, because that ultimately keeps me pushing forward in a positive way. Because now I know, hey, this person went through this whole season where, things weren't looking too good. They weren't even feeling themselves. They could barely get out of bed, and they made it through, and look where they are now. So that is going to be an investment in myself that's going to make me, motivated and inspired to continue to keep going no matter what I'm going through, right? So I think it's very important to make those investments in yourself. And yes, of course, you also want to make those financial investments in yourself, and not only in the form of buying yourself things, even though you definitely want to do that. Every other month, by the way, guys, I have a mental health challenge calendar, which is comprised of different self-care things that we do throughout the month. For example, buying ourselves flowers, taking a warm bubble bath while journaling, just different things that you can do to show yourself appreciation for yourself. Because I feel like as women, we get so lost in the melodrama of taking care of our kids and having to be a full-time mom and having to be a full-time employee, having to be a full-time entrepreneur sometimes. So we get lost, and we can't allow that, because we still need to fuel ourselves to become the best possible version of ourselves. So I found that, making those investments in myself financially, and when it comes to just making space for myself to learn and grow and making it a non-negotiable, has 10x my life, because now I have the time to really just pour into myself and show myself that I am worthy and I am valuable, and I don't need validation from anybody else, because all of it is going to come from me. The next thing we're going to talk about that's going to be very important is creating boundaries, and we talked about that a little bit early on in the video, but we just needed to double down on that, because I don't think people understand how absolutely life-changing it can be once you create boundaries and you make your no's absolute no's. Like, limit the access to yourself. When people think you're too accessible, it actually brings your value down, especially for things that certain things you just simply have leveled up from. Certain things you are just well past, and you've grown to a place where you can't even afford to double back and do those things. So being able to establish those boundaries and saying no, you don't even have to be rude about it. You just have to be, very stern about it, so that people understand that I don't live there anymore. Like, I do not live in that scarcity and in that environment anymore. So, and I take this very, very, very serious, because I find that a lot of times when you're finding yourself in crazy situations, it's only because you're either A, in environments where you've already outgrown, or B, you're allowing yourself to be pulled into things that you didn't necessarily have to be pulled into. Mind your business, drink your water, work on yourself, set those boundaries, and just stand on it. Whoever you lose, understand they were never supposed to be a significant part of your story anyway. They were just there for that season to either teach you something. Remember, like I said earlier, nothing happens by accident or coincidence. There's no such thing. I'm very spiritual. I'm God body. So I believe that God put certain barriers, roadblock, or even tests in your path just to be sure you want exactly what you are saying that you want. You are ready for that assignment that he's ultimately telling you is your assignment. That higher version of yourself is only going to come after that dead weight is shed and those boundaries are created, and you're moving forward, into your new life. You've never heard the saying that says your new life is going to cost you your old one. Well, it's very true, because if everybody was meant, like, most people that you've met them at a time where you weren't even this version of yourself, the healed, grown, like, minus the trauma version of yourself. So a lot of those people were basically, you were trauma bonding, or they were just thriving off of you not believing in yourself and you not really falling into exactly who you are, the queen that you are. You know what I mean? So certain environments, unfortunately, you are going to outgrow, and you just can't be hard on yourself about that. You have to 100% be okay with that, and be okay with, if you create boundaries and people are upset about it, unfortunately, you just have to let them go, because if they don't want to see you become a better you, more than likely it's because they are not working on themselves. So you have to leave them behind anyway, because understand, God is going to give you whatever is needed. So if you lose a friend, understand there's another friend right behind that. If you lose a spouse, understand your kingdom husband is on the way, okay? So you just have to live life with that mindset. And when I live with the fact that, you know, nothing is by coincidence, and God is laying everything out perfectly so that I can reach that destiny that I consistently see in my head. I literally 10x the peace in my life and 10x my growth, and was able to really stand firm in my boundaries and stand firm in my belief in myself, and get those limiting beliefs and that scarcity mindset out of there, and was able to thrive as, in my main character energy. As that it girl, right? So you're separated for a reason. Like, God set you apart. So you are supposed to shine and, bring people back to the results of his glory. Realize how much power there is in privacy. I don't care how close you are to somebody, they should not know all of your business. Like, you need to still yes, be authentic, but also know when you're oversharing, right? Because when you overshare, people start to, how can I put this? Your light kind of starts to dim the more people know about you. At least that's what I feel and I believe. I like to keep that kind of mysterious thing going on so that people can, they don't know everything about you. That also eliminates a lot of drama, a lot of just you being involved in situations that are just no longer for you, situations that you've outgrown. Drama, unnecessary hate talk, just all of those types of things, guys. I think my recommendation would be, there's so much power in privacy. Keep some things private. Like, as far as your relationships, the things you go through, it just is better for you in this growth journey if you allow God to do most of the talking, and for you to do more listening, and for you to not really be talking to anybody in this season other than God, right? Because it's already confusing being somewhere that you've never been before. You're trying to take advice from God. Now you're telling your friend and they're giving you advice. Now you can't decipher between who's talking to you. Is it God? Is it your friend? So I think a lot of the challenges now, yes, of course, you're going to have girl talk. You're going to vent to your friends, but somebody knowing every little detail about you, I feel as though it takes away from your power a little bit. So I like to not overshare. And trust me, I am not being judgmental at all, because I do come from a place where I have overshared most of my life, and it has only really caused drama or anxiety in myself, because they don't necessarily agree with maybe the things that you're doing or the things that you're putting up with. So I just feel like there's a lot of privacy, a lot of power in privacy, and a lot of power in being selective. So we kind of talked about that in creating boundaries, but also, if you know you're somebody like me who likes to overshare, likes to be transparent, likes to be authentic, just try to cultivate an environment where you're very selective, and you know that the people that are listening are actually genuine and spiritual. Know that they have some kind of God touch in their advice. They have some type of kingdom touch in their advice, if that makes sense. You don't just want to be asking people for, worldly people for advice, especially when you're a spiritual person, because if like, the spiritual realm is so different than the reality of things. It's insane. So a lot of the times I just keep to myself. I like to talk to God. I do have a few selective people in my circle that I feel are very genuine and are on the same journey as me, because that's very important. Be around people that are on the same journey as you. Make sure you're limiting access to yourself. You're creating hella boundaries, and literally cultivating different habits. Like we already talked about, you know, waking up in the morning and having, you know, some type of morning routine that's going to give you energy, some type of morning routine that's going to allow you to notice that you're living in an answered prayer. Because listen, sometimes we really do have to remind ourselves, right? I know personally, me too, because I'm spoiled. So I'm spoiled by God, okay? So some seasons I'm in, I'm like, like when is the next? But I literally pray my way into this season. So sometimes I really just do have to remind myself to have gratitude for where I am and keep my eyes open for what God may be trying to prepare me for in the next season, and teach me in this season in preparation for that, right? So just make sure you're doing that. You're waking up, you're grounding yourself, you're saying those affirmations, you're cultivating, a great morning routine. Let me just go back through my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. Saying affirmations, make sure you're loving on yourself 100%, regardless of how other people feel about it. And I think my channel is more so going to be so much about that. I feel like it's easier said than done. Like, it's easy for me to sit here and say, yeah, love on yourself, regardless of how people feel. But for some reason, we always are in, a majority of women are in a space where they feel like they have to get validation from outside sources when the validation comes from within. The validation comes from God. Like, God already stamped you. He already told you who you are. You don't need to look for validation anywhere else. And understand, like, everybody is not going to love you, especially when you're a spiritual being. They did not like Jesus. They threw stones at Jesus and told him he was just a carpenter. So understand, when you're walking and getting closer to your destiny and your assignment, people are going to throw stones at you. People are going to nitpick. People are going to try to make you believe that you aren't who you say you are. They're going to try to build on the imposter syndrome and the limiting beliefs and the lack of, self-worth that you already have. So you have to be a strong warrior when it comes to those things. Fighting those things before they even come in the morning is literally a game changer. Once I started cultivating a boss morning routine and really grounding myself, really saying affirmations, like, make your affirmations, modify them for you. Don't just use generic affirmations. Use things that you're actually struggling with in your daily life. Like, if you're struggling to get out of bed, make an affirmation that's going to be good for you about being productive and where you can go once you get out of bed. For example, I am worthy. I am valuable. I know that I have the tools and resources to be able to create whichever reality I please. So me waking up another day is only pushing me further and further and further away from my old life and making me closer and closer towards my destiny. Now, that is very long. You want to shorten it up. But I'm just telling you, like, be soulful when you are coming up with these affirmations. Don't just say them like, monotone and think that you're going to feel that refreshing feeling that you're supposed to feel. Like, when you sit there and you imagine yourself in places that you want to be, especially if you're a visionary like me, right? So you're imagining yourself in that place. You get that kind of like, whoo, that fluttery feeling in your heart. You want to take that feeling throughout your day because you need that to fuel you into getting things done, right? Especially if you're somebody who, has a very bad spirit of procrastination that they're trying to get rid of. So you want to really set this tone for your day by establishing a morning routine. And yes, beat yourself up if you are not sticking to your morning routine. Yes, have grace with yourself, but really try to be consistent and doing those things for yourself, cultivating that self-love, having that morning routine, speaking life into yourself. Start speaking life into other people. Let your light shine so that, you can truly start to see how peaceful it is when you really start to thrive in positivity and abundance and prosperity, as opposed to being negative, and just being stuck, stagnant, and not really, cultivating that magnetic presence. You guys were able to join me. Comment down below and let me know what you thought about this video. Comment down below and let me know any other things that you may be struggling with, that you may want me to make a video about, whether it be things you want to learn in the business realm or things you want to learn about self-improvement and self-development. And let me just say this, I would not be able to be where I am in the business realm and as an influencer slash content creator. I do not like to call myself an influencer, but as a content creator, if I did not do that self-development work, if I did not get rid of old outdated beliefs, that were put on me by mass media, my peers, my parents, those old outdated beliefs, or, that scarcity, because, all they were trying to do was work and pay the bills. They didn't know that, building your self-esteem was necessary. So those are things that you have to do with yourself, for yourself, and I really feel like they are going to change the trajectory and, the overall outcome of your journey if you just pay more attention to self, love oneself, and everything. God gave you everything that you need. Look within, baby. He gave you everything that you need. You need nothing else. Now, you are going to have to be resourceful, of course. Yes, you want to learn new skills. Yes, you want to learn ways to make money. But understand, if you don't love and believe in yourself and aren't able to show up authentically as yourself, you are not going to be able to, number one, fulfill your assignment, because your assignment is always going to have everything to do with serving people, right? And you're, number two, not going to be able to become that it girl and develop that magnetic presence. And when you are able to become that it girl and develop that magnetic presence, you are able to attract a genuine soul tribe, right? And that's all I'm after. I want to find my people. Where are my people? Okay. So make sure y'all subscribe to my channel. Check out my other video, becoming the main character, because you're definitely going to need to have main character energy. I love y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Have a wonderful, prosperous week. Mwah.